With Selection Sunday officially over, we now have our bracket for the NCAA tournament, and whether you're looking for a brief refresher on all 68 teams in the field, or this is your first time watching college basketball in months, this is the video for you, as here are some things you should know about every team in the NCAA tournament. Looking to repeat as national champs, UConn is one of the clear favorites in this year's tournament, and they honestly don't have any noticeable flaws. Dan Hurley runs an exquisite offense led by point guard Tristan Newton, who averages 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. They have 2 elite shooters in Cam Spencer and Alex Karaban, and defensively, Donovan Clingan is one of the best rim protectors in the country. With all that, plus their depth, this UConn team is even better than their title-winning predecessors. Stetson is in their first NCAA tournament in school history after winning the Atlantic Sun tournament, and they are led by an absolutely electric guard and 6'3" junior Jalen Blackman, who averages 21.5 points per game and exploded for 36 points in the A-Sun title game. In addition to Blackman, Stetson also boasts 3 other double-digit scorers, so they have a lot of help next to him. But on the other hand, the Hatters maybe have the worst defense in the field, as they give up an absurd 115 points per 100 possessions. Florida Atlantic has had an up-and-down season, but overall this team is still incredibly dangerous thanks to its bevy of high-level shot makers. Leading that group is John L. Davis, who is averaging 18 points a game while shooting 43% from 3, and Elijah Martin, who struggled early in the year but has seemed to find his form as of late. Vlad Golden is also back as an interior presence, and I think if this team can lock in defensively, then another deep run is certainly possible. Northwestern has made consecutive tournaments for the first time in school history, and naturally they are led by the best player in school history in Boo Buie, who averages 19 points a game and is the program's all-time leading scorer. While Northwestern has dealt with key injuries to starters, they still shoot a blistering 40% from 3 as a team, and have key complementary scorers in Ryan Langborg and Brooks Barnheiser to help Buie carry the offensive load. Staying out of foul trouble and continuing their hot shooting from 3 will be key to any potential run. The defending national runner-up San Diego State is back in the tournament with a lot of the same core from last year. Forward Jaden Ledee has been one of the best players in the country this year, as he's putting up 21 points and 8 rebounds a game, while USC transfer Reese Waters gives them some additional offensive firepower with 10 points a game. Darion Trammell and Lamont Butler both return as solid two-way guards, and as a whole, the Aztecs have a top 15 defense nationally thanks to their physicality and cohesiveness. UAB gets into the tournament after winning a pretty chaotic AAC tournament, and they are led by 6'9" forward Yaxel Lendeborg, who averages a double-double at around 14 points and 11 boards a game, and the uber-athletic guard Eric Gaines, who adds in 12 points a game to go along with 5 assists. The Blazers are very good at getting to the free throw line and crashing the offensive glass, and have 2 solid shooters around the perimeter in Butta Johnson and Alejandro Vasquez. Winners of the SEC tournament, Auburn is playing some of its best basketball at the right time, as the Tigers are deep, athletic, big, and skilled. Auburn is ranked in the top 10 in both offensive and defensive efficiency, and are led by big man Janai Broom, who scores 16 points a game, in addition to providing elite rim defense. Auburn also has high-level shooters in guys like Jalen Williams, Chad Baker-Mazara, and Denver Jones, and Trey Donaldson has emerged as a very capable floor general as well. Yale earned the auto bid from the Ivy League after a crazy comeback in the title game against Brown that ended with a game-winning buzzer beater from Matt Noling, and they will look to beat teams with their discipline, as they rarely turn the ball over, won't allow many offensive rebounds, and won't foul often. The Bulldogs are led by 7-footer Danny Wolf, who averages around 15 points, 10 rebounds, and a block per game, and 6'5" guard John Polakidis, who scores 13 a game. BYU is perhaps a slight surprise this year given how well they performed in their debut Big 12 season, and the Cougars accomplished this by committing to the 3, as over half of their shot attempts come from behind the arc. 6'7" swingman Jackson Robinson is BYU's leading scorer at around 14 points a game, but he actually comes off the bench for the Cougars, and he's just one of 7 BYU players to average over 9 points per game. They also have big man Ali Khalifa, who has been nicknamed the Egyptian Magician for his crafty passing ability. Duquesne shocked the world by winning the A-10 tournament and are actually coached by Keith Dambrot, who is LeBron's high school coach at St. Vincent St. Mary's. The Dukes play an aggressive form of defense that places a premium on stopping the three-pointer and forcing turnovers, and offensively they run through their backcourt of Day-Day Grant and Jimmy Clark, who combined for 32 points and 6.5 assists per game. Illinois has one of the best offenses in the country, led by a powerful wing duo of TJ Shannon and Marcus Damask, who combine to average close to 39 points per game and are both great at getting shots off in isolation. Versatile big man Coleman Hawkins gives Illinois some front court skill and mobility as well, and if Illinois can string together some quality defensive efforts down the stretch, they're capable of getting to a Final Four. Morehead State is in the tournament by way of the Ohio Valley auto bid, and they're led by 6'7" forward Riley Minix, who averages a near double-double at 21 points and 9 rebounds a game, while presenting a unique matchup problem for opponents given his ability to score both inside and out. The Eagles will set out to control tempo by playing at a slow pace, and look for them to heavily contest the three-point line defensively, as they are one of the best teams teams at limiting 3-point attempts and makes in the country. Washington State is one of the biggest surprises of the season, as the Cougars finished second in the Pac-12 with a relatively unproven roster. Isaac Jones is one of the country's best post-up players, as the 6'9" forward is averaging 15.5 points and 7.5 rebounds per game, and point guard Miles Rice has been awesome in his first college season, leading their offense to the tune of 15 points and 4 assists per game. Washington State will try to limit transition opportunities for their opponents and slow down their rhythm by playing a bit of zone as well. Drake is led by Missouri Valley Player of the Year Tucker DeVries, who is an elite off-the-dribble scorer that averages close to 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. Joining him is experienced big man Darnell Brody, who just always seems to make the right play, and junior guard Atten Wright, who scores 14 points a game. And overall, Drake is a tough squad that isn't afraid to play physically, and they are actually the best defensive rebounding team in the country, allowing offensive boards on only 22% of opponents' shot attempts. Iowa State has been terrorizing opponents all year long with their defense and physicality, as the Cyclones are awesome at preventing drives, forcing turnovers, and pressuring the ball, thanks to an elite defensive backcourt of Taman Lipsey, Keyshawn Gilbert, and Curtis Jones. Lipsey is also the conductor of the Cyclone offense, averaging 12 points and 5 assists per game, while Gilbert and freshman forward Milan Momcilovic both score in double figures and are good at getting their own shots off as well. South Dakota State won the Summit League tournament and regular season, and the Jackrabbits are spearheaded by the electrifying 6'4" junior Zeke Mayo, who averages close to 19 points a game and is one of the most versatile scorers in the country. Look for them to also target William Kyle III in the post often, as he's a 13-point per game scorer as well, and overall expect them to find ways to put the ball in the basket, as they have 4 guys in total who each average over 11 points per game. Houston won the Big 12 regular season in their first year as part of the league, and they did it by locking everyone down defensively, as the Cougars' adjusted defensive efficiency is the best in America by a wide margin. That being said, Houston has some more offensive firepower compared to previous seasons, thanks to the improvement of point guard Jamal Shedd, who averages 13 points and 6 assists per game, and the addition of sharpshooting guard LJ Cryer, who leads the team at 15 points a game. Longwood surprised a lot of people by winning the Big South tournament as the 5 seed, but they had a very convincing run, beating High Point in the semis and then thrashing UNC Asheville in the title game. The Lancers are led by senior guard Wallen Napper, who averages 14.5 points and 4.5 assists per game, and look for them to force the issue offensively, as they are one of the country's best at grabbing offensive rebounds and getting to the free throw line. Nebraska is in the tournament for the first time under Fred Hoiberg, and the Huskers boast a well-balanced attack that saw them finish the regular season top 35 in both offense and defense. 6'2" senior Kisei Tominaga leads the team in scoring at around 15 points per game and can get incredibly hot from 3 instantly, while 6'9" forward Rink Mast gives them some post-scoring and playmaking as well. Look for Nebraska to move a lot offensively in attempts to get their shooters open looks. Texas A&M used a semifinal run in the SEC tournament to clinch their spot in the NCAA tournament, and they feature one of the most electric shot makers in the country in 6' junior Wade Taylor IV, who doesn't have great efficiency but always seems to deliver in big moments for the Aggies, as he averages 19 points and 4 assists per game. Off-ball guard Tyrese Radford provides a nice complement to Taylor with 16 points a game, and as a team they are great at keeping possessions alive, as they grade out as the best offensive rebounding squad in America. Wisconsin had an awesome start to the year before struggling to close the season, but still the Badgers are very fun primarily because of 6'6" guard AJ Storr, who is an incredible athlete and shot maker that averages around 17 points per game. 6'9" forward Tyler Wall is an elite hustle player who always seems to be in the right spot at the right time, and he contributes to Wisconsin's elite defensive rebounding numbers. Also watch out for sharpshooting guard Max Klesmit too, as he can go off at a moment's notice. James Madison made a splash on opening night by winning at Michigan State and haven't really looked back, as they finished 31-3 en route to the Sun Belt tournament title. The Dukes have a great scoring guard in Terrence Edwards, who averages 17 points a game, and Boston College transfer TJ Bickerstaff is a force down low who averages 13 points and 8 boards a game. Expect James Madison to shut down the 3-point line defensively, as opponents are only shooting 28% from deep against them this year, and be warned that this also might be the hottest team in the country, as they haven't lost since late January. Duke, as usual, has one of the more talented teams in the country, headlined by 7' forward Kyle Filipowski, who is averaging 17 points and 8 rebounds a game, and experienced point guard Jeremy Roach, who scores 14 a game. Freshman sharpshooter Jerry McCain will be an X factor for the Blue Devils, as he's pouring in 13 points a game and shooting 40% from 3, and generally speaking, look for Duke to play through Filipowski and let him either finish at the rim or spray the ball out to open shooters. Vermont once again won the America East, and John Becker's Catamounts will look to slow the game down and rely on their half-court defense, as they are one of the best defensive rebounding teams in America and place a premium on stopping transition opportunities. Vermont has 3 double-digit scorers on their team, all of whom are guards in TJ Long, Shamir Bogues, and Aaron Deloney, and they'll rely a lot on the 3-point shot to get their offense going. Unlike most Texas Tech teams of previous years, first-year head coach Grant McCasland has turned the Red Raiders into one of the best offensive teams in the field, as the backcourt of Pop Isaacs and Joe Toussaint is excellent when it comes to creating for others, while guys like Chance McMillan and Darion Williams are both lethal from 3-point range. range. Texas Tech has 6 guys averaging more than 9 points per game and have very solid depth that can be useful in the tournament. North Carolina State is fresh off the heels of one of the more impressive conference tournament runs in recent memory, as they won 5 games in 5 days, including wins over Duke, Virginia, and North Carolina. Big man DJ Burns is an absolute load to deal with, as a 6'9", 260-pounder averages 12 points a game and is great at getting post position, while guards Casey Morsell and DJ Horn are decent shot creators on the perimeter who can keep them in ball games. Kentucky has a very potent offense thanks to its bevy of talented guards that can all hit shots at a high clip, with Antonio Reeves, Rob Dillingham, and Reed Shepherd averaging a combined 48 points per game and all hitting over 43% from 3. The Wildcats are incredibly difficult to stop, as they actually are the #1 3-point shooting team in the country, which is a total 180 from their teams in recent years. While Kentucky isn't particularly good defensively, that trio of guards can score with anyone, making them a very strong candidate to go on a deep run. The always entertaining Greg Camp has gotten his Oakland Golden Grizzlies back in the dance for the first time since 2011, and his squad is carried by Horizon League Player of the Year Trey Townsend, who's a versatile 6'6" forward that averages 16 points, 7 boards, and 3 assists per game. Expect Oakland to sit in the zone for basically the entire game defensively, and don't be surprised if they keep their games close, as they showed some real promise against high major teams this year, giving Ohio State and Illinois some battles and actually going on the road and beating Xavier. Florida has one of the best offenses in the country, as they have a loadout of talented guards with size that can command the offense. 6'4" UC Riverside transfer Zion Poland leads the Gators with 15.5 points and 5 assists per game, while Walter Clayton Jr. leads the team in scoring at 17 points a game. Tyrese Samuel gives them a legitimate post presence, and overall the Gators play fast and are one of the country's best offensive rebounding teams. Boise State is an experienced team with a core who has been to the tournament before, as they have 4 guys who average more than 12 points per game. Tyson Dagenhart is a beast in the paint as he scores 17 points a game, while big-bodied guard Chibuzo Abo is an elite 3-point shooter who averages 14 points as well. Max Rice has never seen a shot he doesn't like, and 6'7" forward Omar Stanley is a monster on the glass and a great hustle player. Boise State rebounds at a very high level and plays good enough defense to win some games. Colorado just snuck into the field, and while they don't have a great resume, they do have legit talent. All Pac-12 point guard KJ Simpson is awesome, as he's putting up 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists per game, and likely top 5 pick Cody Williams is a lengthy 6'8" wing who scores 13 points a game and can create his own shot. 6'8" forward Tristan Da Silva is another guy who can hurt you in a variety of ways, as he averages 16 points a game, and overall the Buffaloes shoot the 3 and rebound defensively at nationally elite levels. Marquette is led by point guard Tyler Kolek, a potential first-round draft pick who is averaging around 15 points and 7.5 assists per game, and 6'9" big man Oso Ighodaro, who's another phenomenal passer for his position, and expect them to dictate the Golden Eagle offense with their 2-man pick-and-roll game. Cam Jones is an incredibly smooth scorer as an off-ball guard who averages a team-leading 17 points per game, and overall Marquette has an elite combination of high-end talent and complementary role players, which has led to them posting a top 20 offensive and defensive efficiency in the country. Western Kentucky is in the tournament by way of the Conference USA auto bid, and the Hilltoppers are led offensively by 6'2" guard Don McHenry, who averages 15 points a game, in addition to 2 other high major transfer guards in Brandon Newman and Christian Lander, who combine for 19 points a game. The Hilltoppers literally play at the fastest tempo in the country, so expect their games to be chaotic and frenetic, as approximately 25% of their offensive possessions are in transition. Purdue is one of the national championship favorites heading into the tournament and are looking to avenge last year's loss to 16 seed Fairleigh Dickinson with a deep run this year. Luckily, likely player of the year Zach Edey is back and dominating the paint, as a 7'4" center is averaging 24 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game, but in addition to him, point guard Braden Smith has taken a massive leap, and SIU transfer Lance Jones has given them some much needed perimeter pop. Purdue also shoots 41% from 3 as a team, so this year they can actually punish teams for loading up on Edey. Montana State clinched its 3rd straight NCAA tournament appearance by winning the Big Sky tournament as a 5 seed thanks to first-year head coach Matt Logie, who was coaching at the Division II level last year. The Bobcats are led by 6-foot guard Robert Ford III, who averages 16 points, 7.5 boards, 3 assists, and 3 steals per game, while thriving as a pick-and-roll playmaker, and as a team, look for Montana State to find ways to get open threes. As per Synergy, nearly 65% of their catch-and-shoot threes are unguarded. Grambling State gets into March Madness by winning the SWAC tournament, and defensively look for them to switch up coverages and be aggressive in trying to force turnovers. The Tigers are perhaps the worst offensive team in the field, as they turn the ball over a ton, shoot a paltry 47% on 2-point field goal attempts this year, and can't really generate easy baskets, but they do have guards in Contavious Dozier, Tremichael Moton, and Jordan Smith, who can all hit timely shots. Utah State somehow won the Mountain West regular season despite not having any returning scorers and and bringing in a new head coach, but this team is legit, as big man Great Osobor won Mountain West Player of the Year and averages 18 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block and a half per game, and guards Ian Martinez and Darius Brown both give the Aggies some real perimeter explosion, as Martinez hits 38% of his threes, while Brown dishes out 6.5 assists per game in addition to his 12 points per game as well. Utah State defends the three-point line very well, and will get to the free throw line often. TCU finished an even 500 in Big 12 play this year behind an aggressive offensive attack that saw them get out and transition a ton. Leading this offense is 6'7" wing Emmanuel Miller, who's averaging 16 points and 6 rebounds a game, and Delaware transfer Jameer Nelson Jr., who adds 11 points a game as well. TCU ranks in the top 40 nationally in both offensive and defensive efficiency, and again, this comes back to their overall aggression, as their ability to grab offensive rebounds and force turnovers really bolsters them as a whole. Gonzaga spent a decent part of the year on the tournament bubble before really hitting their stride in early February, and Mark Few's Bulldogs once again play at a breakneck pace offensively, led by point guard Ryan Nembhard, who averages around 13 points and 7 assists per game. The Zags also have their traditional low post scorer in Graham Ike, who averages close to 17 points and 7 boards a game, in addition to guys like Anton Watson and Braden Huff, who also live on the block. So naturally, look for Gonzaga to play predominantly through the interior on offense. McNeese State has been an absolute wagon all year, blitzing through the Southland and finishing with a 30-3 record. Led by TCU transfer Shahade Wells, who averages around 18 points and 5 assists per game, the Cowboys are built to go on a deep run in the tournament, as they force a ton of turnovers, shoot the three really well as a team, have high major athleticism, and are guided by experienced head coach Will Wade. Alongside UConn, McNeese State is the only team in the country to be both top 25 in offensive and defensive points per possession. Kansas is limping into the tournament as stars Kevin McCullough and Hunter Dickinson are both banged up and missed their lone game in the Big 12 tournament. The presumption though is that they'll be healthy, and with those two you're getting an elite two-way playmaking wing in McCullough and a highly skilled big man in Dickinson. Kansas doesn't have the depth it usually does, so it'll be important for point guard DeJuan Harris and power forward KJ Adams to contribute as scorers for the Jayhawks to make a deep run. Samford comes to the NCAA tournament after claiming the SoCon auto bid, and they play a very unique style. Known as Buckyball for their head coach Bucky McMillan, Samford plays at one of the fastest tempos in the country and will absolutely bomb from three, as their top 8 rotation players all hit over 38% from distance individually. Samford is also committed to pushing the pace defensively, as they press more than nearly every other team in America and set out to force turnovers at a high clip. Leading them is 6'9" forward Achor, who averages 16 points, 6 rebounds, and nearly 2 blocks per game. South Carolina is one of the biggest surprises of the season, as they were picked to finish last in the SEC at the beginning of the year, but head coach Lamont Paris has turned this team into a winner, as they just have a bunch of guys that make key plays. Post-up player BJ Mack leads the team with 14 points a game. Freshman forward Colin Murray Boyles has been a revelation in the front court, as he's averaging 11 points and 6 rebounds a game, and their backcourt pairing of Talon Cooper and Michi Johnson just constantly makes tough shots. Oregon stole a bid by winning the Pac-12 tournament after an impressive stretch that saw them beat Arizona and Colorado on back-to-back days, and the Ducks can be dangerous, as big man N'Faly Dante is a force down low as he's averaging 16 points and 9 rebounds a game, and they have guards like Jermaine Cousinard and Jackson Shellstad, who can play well in pick and roll and average a combined 28 points per game. Look for Oregon to play a lot in isolation and crash the glass for easy putbacks. Creighton is led by the college basketball version of the Big Three in Trey Alexander, Baylor Shireman, and Ryan Kalkbrenner, as they each average over 17 points a game, making the Blue Jays the only team in America to have 3 guys scoring that much individually. Outside of them though, Creighton does struggle with depth, but their complementary players can all shoot from 3, making the Jays one of the most potent offenses in Division I. And with Kalkbrenner roaming the paint defensively, Creighton is a team that can win games in a variety of ways. Akron caught a break in the MAC title game where Kent State fouled up 1 with 6 seconds left, leading to free throws and a Zips win, but despite that, this team still poses as a threat thanks to a dynamic scoring duo of forwards Enrique Freeman and Ali Ali, who are both very good post scorers and rim finishers and combined for around 34 points a game. While Akron doesn't shoot well from 3, those 2 guys are capable of giving them easy offense so that they can remain viable. The Longhorns have been somewhat inconsistent in Rodney Terry's first full season at the helm, but Texas has legitimate stars in guard Max Asmus, who averages 17 points and 4 assists per game, and forward Dylan Disu, who adds an additional 16 points per game. Tyrese Hunter adds legit scoring and playmaking pop to their backcourt, and the duo of Dylan Mitchell and Caden Shedrick makes for a phenomenal defensive pairing in the front court that is awesome at protecting the rim. Virginia just snuck into the field, and as usual, the Cavaliers will try to grind the game down to a halt and force teams to use the entire shot clock on both ends. Ryan Dunn is a 6'8" wing who might be the best overall defender in America when it comes to versatility, and on the offensive end, guards Reese Beekman and Isaac McNeely will be asked to carry the load, as Beekman is averaging 14 points and 6 assists per game, and McNeely is scoring 11 a game while hitting 45% of his threes. Colorado State opened the season on a tear, beating the likes of Creighton, Colorado, and New Mexico, but they did struggle as they got into the heart of Mountain West play. Still, point guard Isaiah Stevens is is a treat to watch, as he's the engine for the Rams, averaging 16.5 points and 7 assists per game, and seemingly never making a bad decision. In addition, Colorado State also has shot-making guard Nick Clifford and sturdy wing Joel Scott, who each score around 12 points per game, which gives them plenty of offense to rely on. As always, Tennessee has one of the best defenses in the country thanks to their physicality and size, but unlike most volunteer squads, they actually have a go-to scorer this year in 6'6" wing Dalton Knecht, who is an elite 3-level scorer that averages around 21 points per game and has scored 25 points or more 11 times this year. Surrounding him are a lot of old players like Josiah Jordan-James and Zakai Ziegler, but make no mistake, this team will go as far as Knecht can carry them. The 2022 tournament darling St. Peter's is back in the dance after winning the MAC tournament as a 5 seed, and their standout is 6'6" sophomore Corey Washington, who is an incredibly versatile scorer that averages around 16.5 points and 6.5 rebounds per game. While the Peacocks are outside the top 300 offensively, they do have a surprisingly good defense that ranks top 90 nationally and forces turnovers at a 20% clip. North Carolina has bounced back from last year thanks to a nationally elite defense and the emergence of guard RJ Davis, who was named ACC Player of the Year after averaging 21 points a game while shooting 42% from 3. UNC also added some key transfers in guys like Cormac Ryan and Harrison Ingram, and of course, big man Armando Bacot has continued to be great, as he's averaging 14 points and 10 rebounds a game. Look for Carolina to get out in transition as well, with freshman point guard Elliot Cadeau being electric in the open floor. Howard won the MEAC tournament, and they'll play a somewhat chaotic game as they hit a solid 37% of their threes, but also turn the ball over on about 22% of their possessions. The Bulldogs do a good job of getting to the free throw line, and they'll need all the points they can get as their defense is ranked 335th nationally per Bart Torvik. Leading them are guards Bryce Harris and Marcus Dockery, and long-tenured forward Seth Towns, who combine to average around 45 points per game. Wagner might be the most Cinderella-y team in the field, as they won the NEC tournament as a 7 seed while only having 7 available players due to a myriad of injuries. Leading the Seahawks is Melvin Council Jr., a 6'4" guard who averages 14 points and 3 assists per game, and look for head coach Donald Copeland to really switch up defensive looks, whether it be pressing or going into a tight zone, as Wagner really wants to slow the game down to mask their offensive limitations. Mississippi State plays a tough brand of basketball built on defending the three-point line and being more physical than the opponent. The Bulldogs have a top 20 defense this year, in addition to freshman sensation Josh Hubbard, who is averaging a team-leading 17 points per game and just hits crazy shots. Post standout Tolu Smith gives them some interior offense in the form of 15 points a game, and as a team, expect them to attack opponents on the offensive glass. Michigan State largely fell short of preseason expectations, but the Spartans still got in the tournament and are dangerous because of a very good trio of guards, spearheaded by Tyson Walker, who is averaging 18 points a game and has become the bailout option for an otherwise average Michigan State offense. Jaden Akins gives them some complimentary shot making, with AJ Hoggard contributing with his defense and passing, and in general, Sparty is a very solid defensive team that ranks top 10 nationally on that end. After a rather slow start to the season, St. Mary's absolutely dominated the WCC this year, beating out Gonzaga for both the regular season and tournament championships. Augustus Marcelonis has been a breakout star for the Gales, taking home WCC Player of the Year honors while averaging 12.5 points and 5 assists per game, and of course, sophomore Aiden Mahaney is still there as he pours in 13 points a game. The Gales play a slow, grinding style that has helped them be one of the best rebounding and defensive teams in the country. Grand Canyon gets to its second consecutive tournament after winning the WAC tournament, but this team is much better than its predecessor, as the addition of 6'7" swingman Tyon Grant Foster has been a huge boost for the Antelopes, as the WAC Player of the Year is averaging 20 points and 6 rebounds per game. Grand Canyon is also great at getting to the free throw line and defending in the paint, and have shown an ability to compete with anyone, as they have a win against San Diego State to show for it. Alabama plays at one of the fastest paces in the country and will absolutely launch from 3 as they take 30 attempts from behind the arc per game. Leading them is guard Mark Sears, who averages 21 points per game and is an extremely crafty scorer, and point guard Aaron Estrada, who scores 13.5 points per game and dishes out 4.5 assists per game as well. Alabama is not nearly as good defensively as they were a year ago, as they don't have great rim protection and foul at a very high rate. Charleston is once again back in the NCAA tournament after winning the CAA, and the thing that stands out about them is their depth, as they can reliably play 10 guys and no one plays more than 26 minutes a night. The Cougars are a very disciplined team that won't beat themselves, and spearheading their efforts is guard Rain Smith, who averages 13 points a game and hits 39% of his threes, and big man Ante Berzovic, who scores 12 points a game and can post up effectively. Clemson is led by All-ACC forward PJ Hall, who at 6'10 is an elite post-up scorer averaging 19 points and 8 rebounds per game. The Tigers will primarily play through him on the block, and overall they are a very composed team that won't turn it over or miss many free throws. Guards Joe Girard and Chase Hunter will have to be efficient on open threes if Clemson wants to win some games, and look for 6'8" forward Ian Shefflin to make winning plays with his timely scoring and rebounding. New Mexico is one of the most electric teams in the field as they play a fun style thanks to an elite trio of guards in Jalen House, Donovan Dent, and Jamal Bashburn Jr. that combine to score 44 points a game. They are extremely aggressive defensively and have the athletes to back it up as well, most notably freshman forward JT Toppin, who thrives as a weak side shot blocker and rebounder for the Lobos. This team is built for a deep run. Baylor brings into the tournament one of the best shooting teams in America, as the Bears knock down an impressive 40% from 3 as a team. Point guard Ray J. Dennis is an awesome floor general who can get shots for himself and others, as he averages nearly 14 points and 7 assists per game, and likely lottery pick Jacoby Walter is an impressive movement shooter who can get hot quickly as well. While the Bears aren't great defensively, they do have freshman big Yves Missi as a safety blanket that keeps them viable on that end. Colgate once again won the Patriot League and is in their 5th NCAA tournament in 6 years as a result, and their point guard Braden Smith is the engine, as he averages 12 points and 6 assists per game while grabbing 2 steals a game as well. Keegan Records also chips in with 11 points a game as a 6'10" big, and while Colgate doesn't necessarily have the talent or athleticism as other NCAA tournament teams, they play very disciplined basketball and won't beat themselves. Dayton is back in the tournament thanks in large part to big man Deron Holmes, who at 6'11" is averaging 20 points and 8 rebounds a game. But what makes Dayton even more dangerous is the shooting they have around Holmes, as the Flyers knock down 40% of their threes as a team and feature sharpshooters like Kobe Brea, Nate Santos, and Kobe Elvis on the perimeter. Expect them to show a lot of different looks defensively, but overall their offensive firepower is the thing that can win them some games. Nevada is a very solid team on both ends, as they rank in the top 40 nationally in both offensive and defensive efficiency per Bart Torvik. The Wolfpack have an outstanding backcourt duo of Keenan Blackshear and Jared Lucas, who together average 33 points per game, with Lucas being a high-level three-point shooter and Blackshear being more of a downhill driving threat. Nevada gets to the free throw line at an elite rate that ranks 6th nationally, and as a team they have very solid frontcourt athletes and can hit tough shots with consistency. Arizona is one of the best teams in the country, as Tommy Lloyd's Wildcats play at a fast pace and have a lot of talented scorers, most notably UNC transfer Caleb Love, who is averaging 19 points a game and was named Pac-12 Player of the Year. Arizona also has legit size in 7-footer Umar Ballo and the broad-shouldered Keyshawn Johnson, who gives them a toughness and defensive aspect that previous Arizona teams lacked. Arizona is skilled, athletic, and physical, but it'll all come down to whether they can actually play to their talent level, which they've struggled to do consistently this year. Long Beach State has one of the weirdest situations ever, as they actually fired head coach Dan Munson earlier in the week, but allowed him to coach the rest of the season, where the Beach actually won the Big West tournament and are now going dancing. Long Beach State actually has 3 wins over high major opponents this year, and are led by Marcus Sahonis, who averages around 18 points per game. Expect Long Beach State to attack and transition often, and crash the offensive glass with aggression. And with that, there is every team in the tournament explained. Be on the lookout for my official bracket prediction video that will drop later this week, and as always, thanks so much for watching, and give me your thoughts below.